Y'all, it happened. Erik Horne here with Bill Rhoden and Jean-Jacques Taylor, and we are talking about the debut of Shedeur Sanders, the world's most popular backup quarterback. Shedeur Sanders finished the game for the Cleveland Browns on Friday, on Friday, on Sunday because Dillon Gabriel got a concussion. He came out. Shedeur came out and started the second half. The Browns, as they are wont to do, lost 23-16, but not without seeing Shedeur Sanders get a chance at a little bit of a 2-minute drill at the end. Ultimately, it did not work. Shedeur Sanders went 4-16 for 47 yards and an interception. Took a couple sacks. Did some things that we've seen him do in preseason, both good and bad. But we wanted to react quickly to this, and I wanted to get you all's thoughts off the rip. What did y'all think about the circumstance? What did y'all think about the performance? And anything else you want to think about or talk about, particularly Kevin Stefanski in postgame?
I think when you look at the totality of it, it's what you expect from a backup quarterback, especially a rookie backup quarterback who hasn't played at all. In terms of I think for a moment the game looked too big for him, and then I think it slowed down just a little bit. But I thought really Baltimore, Zach Orr, defensive coordinator, did the best thing possible, which is, hey man, I'm not going to give you time to sit back here and get comfortable. You think the game is fast? Let me speed this thing up for you. And you saw a couple times when Shedeur had time, he made good, strong, accurate throws. And when he didn't, I was trying to look it up, man. They didn't show any quarterback hits in the first half on Dillon Gabriel. The Ravens ended up with 10. So what I'm saying is they were tattooing his butt in the second half. And any quarterback, let alone a rookie, is going to struggle when you're getting banged around the way the Ravens were banging him around.
I don't think we learned anything in particular.
Like you said, JJ.
No, my thing, Bill, I was saying is I don't know if we learned anything in particular.
Oh, no, you're not from that.
Yeah, I mean, it's too short a sample size. Like you said, JJT, is you kind of got what you expected. We've been saying for months that what Shedeur is going to give you is some excitement, the anticipation, and to come off the bench like that. I thought that, I thought his one great move was, his the famous Shedeur spin move, where he spun, made the defender slip, and then he just missed the throw in the end zone. There was another throw, he made a great throw in the end zone, and the guy got stripped, the receiver got stripped, I'd like to see more of it. We've always said Dillon Gabriel is basically a placeholder, no highs, no lows, just kind of like this. He's not going to win games for you. Now, he may not lose them, but he's not going to win them. So this is going to be a very intriguing week in Cleveland. And I guess our question is, are we going to go to, will we be in Las Vegas when Shedeur starts? That's kind of like
the problem with that is, concussion protocol, you probably know Wednesday whether he's going to play Sunday. Because if he doesn't practice Wednesday, the odds of him playing Sunday are remote. I thought I think he ended up 4 for 16, 47 yards. They ran 28 plays. They only had 44 yards of total offense with Shedeur in the game. But what you have to understand is, if you're a fan or you watching the game, is number one, this game plan was built for Dillon Gabriel. Number two, Shedeur hadn't had any reps at all with the first team. And so he talked about that after the game. And so if he were to start, he'd have a full week of practice with the first team. He'd have a game plan built around him. He'd have practice with, okay, when they bring these hots, blitz, where do I go with my hots? And remember, he's a cerebral guy whose game is built on accuracy. Those are the things he does well. So given a week of practice, I'm not saying he's going to come out and be a superstar, but given a week of practice with the starters and the first team and having a game plan built for him, you'll get a much better gauge of what he can be, remembering that he's still a rookie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, any rookie, I don't care who you are, is gonna struggle. I don't think that, maybe that first series he looked like, deer in the headlights, but as he kind of got into it, he looked confident. He looked like he kind of knew what he was doing, even though he may not have known what he was doing. Uh, but there's nothing that we saw in that short sample size that would make me think that, oh man, he doesn't even belong on the field. You know, I think he does belong, and I think that if he were to get the same opportunity that Dillon Gabriel get, like 4 games, I think if he gets 4 games, I think that we'll see a very promising Shedeur Sanders if he gets 4 games. So, but I think that if you looked at all the excitement in the stands, with people with his number, and when he first came out, people was, now, you're right, it's a terrible team, and it's going to be a terrible team no matter who's playing, you know. But I would hope that Shedeur A starts the next game, and I think that if he gets enough support, and if he gets, like you said, JJT, if he gets a game plan, I think we'll see a promising Shedeur Sanders. He's a great story. I'm saying this all selfishly.
Well, he almost pulled off the story. That play you're talking about where he missed Bolton going around the back of the end zone. But even after that, when he had time to throw, he had the receiver, had the ball. It was a terrific play by the defensive back to knock it out of his hands in the end zone. Otherwise, it's overtime and who knows what happens. So he showed you a couple of teeny flashes in that brief appearance. And then, it's interesting because did you guys see his reaction after the game?
Yeah. When he was sitting on the bench, you mean?
Yeah, but it was the whole thing. Like, he snatches his helmet off, he trudges to the sideline, he sits back, and he's got his hand in his face in his hands, just kind of rubbing his hands over his braids. And you're wondering, what is he thinking about right then? Is he thinking about the plays that he missed? Is he thinking about, man, I had an opportunity. It wasn't even a great opportunity, but it was an opportunity, and I didn't take full advantage of it. I'm curious as to all the things going through his mind at that particular point, because it showed how much he cares. Because it's not like people were sitting there blaming him, I don't think. But the overall results are not pretty. Six drives, punt, interception, punt, downs. So, you can only go up from there.
Well, go ahead.
I mean, it's not much worse than what Dillon Gabriel did. It's a situation where the Browns didn't really get in the offense at all, even when Dillon Gabriel was in there. So you got to think, like Bill was saying, full week of practice, full week of reps, if that is going to be afforded to him, and you're probably going to get a better result. And we talked about this, guys. We talked about how, if he were to hypothetically get his first start, what would be the best place for him to do it at? Indoors, in Vegas, indoors, climate control, full week of reps against a team that's not going anywhere. And it's not to say that, look, they might come out. I mean, look, all these teams have players. Max Crosby's going to be trying to take his head off. But if you want to go up against a team in a certain condition, that's probably the ideal situation for you to get your first NFL start.
And especially after the Cowboys bang on them on Monday night. They could be sore and beat up from that game.
Right.
Yeah.
At least defensively, not offensively.
Yeah, not on off. No, the offense, that's going to be a track meet. But, it's.
But, I think it's a plus. That's close to Colorado. His dad and all his friends from the Buff Nation and his fans will have no problem getting to that game. And, it'll be a very comfortable environment, even though it's a road game, because the Raiders stink whether they're playing at home or on the road.
Right. That would be perfect. And the only more perfect one is when Tennessee comes. That's another, that's another a good start for him. But, I think that Browns fans should be a little heartened. I mean, a franchise like the Browns needs hope. They need hope. And I think that Shedeur represents. It's funny, you listen to the post-game press conference, and all the questions were about Shedeur. I mean, like all the questions were about Shedeur. So I guess if the general manager and the friend, if they're seeing which way the wind is blowing, it's clearly blowing in his direction. And last thing I'd say, I had a little different take. It's funny you mentioned him on the bench because I was wondering if he was going to, they showed all, typically the quarterbacks go in the middle and they meet each other. And you
Right.
saw Lamar was clearly looking for him, and but Shedeur was on the bench, sulking. And I don't know, man. I get it, but sometimes, man, you just gotta be a professional and just, go meet, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league. Go meet him in the middle of the field, shake his hand, hear what he got to say. Now, maybe unbeknownst to us, maybe they'll meet. They've already met, like in the back of the stadium or something like that. I wish. I get what you're saying. He does care. Everybody cares, but it would have been nice if he would have met Lamar in the middle of the field, and then just I I call it being professional. I know you call him caring. That's maybe he's nitpicking. Um,
You're nitpicking.
uh,
And I say you're nitpicking because it's the first game. It's a weird set of circumstances. I don't know if I would. Well, Jay Reed already got you for one dinner. I would even bet you another dinner
oh,
that it wasn't even in his consciousness. Like, oh, I need to go shake hands with all these. It's just for that. I think for that one moment in this weird set of circumstances, he was just like, "Damn, I had an opportunity. It didn't go the way I wanted it." He in a whole nother world, man.
yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But it's funny. We both noticed it. We just had
Right.
different analysis of it. Yeah. But I think you're right, man. It's hard when you're 25 and all that, and you had this moment. You're probably like, oh, so over analyzing it, you know. But he was basically in a hopeless. Not, it wasn't a hopeless situation, but it was a steep uphill climb against a great, well, a really good defense that was designed to rattle him. And I think he acquitted himself well, but you're right, you're probably not thinking about that. You think about the pass you missed. You're thinking about the sack. You're thinking about, man, I could have done this, I could have done that.
You
Uh,
thinking about is Dillon gonna be good next week, and this was it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, you're right. You're
I,
right.
but before we end it, I wanted to get into a little bit of the Stefanski post game because I mean, for all the shortcomings the Browns may have on the field, they're not putting out a good product. Besides the defense is actually pretty good. Myles Garrett had
Defense
four
is great.
sacks. I mean, he's unbelievable.
Yeah,
But
defense.
as deficient as Stefanski may be at the on field stuff, by what we've seen, this guy has a way of kind of like navigating around questions to me that is very special. And he's very well versed in the media game. He says a lot of nothing while being pretty cordial about it too. He doesn't get heated. He'll just answer the question politely, but he won't really tell you anything. But he also won't go out of his way to really compliment anybody. They were asking about the first team reps, and he was like, those were Shedor's first reps with the first team. But then he had to kind of this thing like, we do so much work with the quarterback position, not just reps on the field. There's so much we do to supplement that.
Right.
That's probably true, but at the same time, it's not really getting to the point of like, okay, this guy, why hasn't he gotten the amount of work that Dillon Gabriel's gotten? But we've already addressed that on some other pods about how you want to make sure that the guy who's
There's no
starting,
backup getting work.
yeah, the backups don't get any work.
Right.
But then, he talks about other things, and he was complimentary of him in a sense. He said, we trust him. He said, I know there's things we want to do. He's
He
going to
said we
want to do
trust
better.
all of. Remember, he said we trust all. He likes to do that. We trust all
We
our
trust all our
people.
quarterbacks. But he did say he
Right.
trusts him. We trust him.
Uh,
But then he was also he also said the one more thing. He said, it's hard to single out guys because as a rookie class, they've taken the development piece of the game so seriously. And that's when somebody asked him specific, like people kept trying to come back, as the reporters were smart to do, try to come back to get this guy to say something positive about Shedeur Sanders. And the guy was like, well, collective, because he's very well versed in, I don't want to compliment this guy too much, get it turned into a headline, this and that. And I thought that was really fascinating to see how he navigated around that in the post game.
Well, that's exactly what he's doing. It does him no good to say anything because the way the media is right now in Cleveland, I mean, they're like a bunch of piranhas waiting to hear something. So it reminded me of Troy Aikman in Dallas all those years, where he gave you very little, especially later in his career. And he always said, my job was not to give you a story for the week. My job was to give you enough to do your job and no more. Because anything I say, can be turned 100 different ways. So my job is to say as little as possible. Now that doesn't help us, but he's doing his job, and it's a never-ending tete-a-tete between media and coaches and players. To get at some semblance of the truth.
Yeah, the only definitive thing he said, remember, is Mary Kay, and he does that too. He does that too. He'll say, "Yes, Mary Kay," blah 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 blah, or "Yes, JJT." He's very like he's cordial, not saying anything. But the only thing he did say was, he said, "Well, is it safe to say that if Dillon does not clear the protocol, Shedeur will start?"
Right.
Well, of course. And he said, "Yeah, of course, yeah." And then said, "Well, are you thinking of bringing in another quarterback?" Which opens another can of worms. So no, I'm not making any more wagers. But but I think that there's a good chance we'll see him in Las Vegas, and I think that's a great landing spot for him. I think the kid's got talent. I think he's got a relatively high ceiling.
Yeah, man, I think he's like any other quarterback, man. It's about the organization and the setup. The Browns are a terrible organization. It's can you survive them? But it's always about, are you in an environment that allows you to succeed and thrive? And I wouldn't say that about Cleveland, but it's the environment that you got, so you got to do the best that you can.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what to think because, again, he hasn't had the reps. He showed a lot of things that I think we've seen in the preseason tonight. Instead of stepping up in the pocket, he's backing away. He's rolling out. But he also did show some legs, and he showed toughness, and we knew he had that too. So I'm back at square one. I just want to see him get a full week of practice so we can have a definitive answer about, is he the guy going forward? And then we still might not get a definitive answer.
You're not going to get a definitive answer.
Actually, no, we did get an answer because Stefanski said if Gabriel's healthy, he's the starter. That's basically what he said. But all Shedeur can do is go out there and put up the performance and put up the tape to make it a debate. That's all he can do.
Well, here's the deal, and I've said this for years. Sport is fluid. What's true today might not be true an hour, a day, a week, a month from now.
Mm-hmm.
So he can say whatever he wants to. Shedeur go 18 for 24 for 300 yards. Dillon Gabriel will not be starting the next game.
Right.
So,
Yeah. You're right.
But sports is forever fluid, man, because things change, situations change. It's rarely how we think it's going to work out.
Yeah. He was a touchdown pass away, sending the game in overtime, and we're having another conversation.
No, exactly.
It's inches, so stay tuned. But it's going to be a fascinating week in Cleveland.
Yep. And look, hopefully we'll be seeing each other in Cleveland, guys. Not Cleveland, Las Vegas.
Yeah, come on.
But
man, you're killing me.
We'll see how that develops. I'm all over the place, man. I'm scatterbrained. I was trying to get my son out of the shower 5 minutes ago. Then I had everybody texting me about Shedeur Sanders. He's on the field. I'm like, man, I gotta find out what's going on, man. I gotta see what this dude's doing. But no, guys, thanks for coming on short notice. Thanks for everybody for joining us once again. And we will see you all later in the week when we get a little bit more information about the whole Shedeur Sanders saga. Thanks again.